Freeing all the willies.
Uh-huh.
Shorting that SeaWorld.
What's up, Bree? That was the ES today.
Yeah, it kind of a little bit boring, and then it had a little liquidation break, trapped all the shorts, took it right back up. Typical month end, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Not much going on. Nice and slow. I'm sure they'll run it up at the end of the day, you know. Close your eyes and buy it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Same story.
No kidding, eh?
Same story, different day.
So this NIO, a couple of guys were trading this last week, and I think you guys were fooling around with it today.
Yeah. Actually, I had a good win on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Long.
Long. Yeah, long. Yep.
Yeah, it's did the old one-time framing up with the little inventory adjustment here, but it's still holding very nicely. And Friday it had that B profile.
Mm-hmm.
So after it hit that high, they sort of faded it down, bought it all back here, and now ramping it up for the end of the month. It's always nice.
How's the volume today, Jay, in the ES? Lower than usual?
Yeah, it's light.
Yeah.
It's what do we have here? Where's my volume? Yeah, 640,000 contracts, and 440 in the regular trading hours, the rest in overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just no selling at all. Nobody wants to put risk on month end, and even in stocks, you'll find that a lot of profiles like this, this is like that P formation. So what happened was this profile showed us that Friday the selling shut off right before. This is really cool about profile, because you'll see this is the day that took us up to these levels, right? And this day has a structure, and there's the point of control where most of the time was spent. And you'll look at Friday, couldn't take out the point of control. That means all of the selling was just trapped longs, right? So the deal people in NIO weren't actually selling a lot, or they sold and now they're buying it back and they're supporting the bid. So retail feels good about buying today. So what happens is, when a stock hits a new high like it did a couple of days ago, then you just let it sort of drift down and you fade it, right? If you're the people who have actually are controlling it, you let the thing sort of fade and then you put a bid in somewhere to hold it, at sort of a predetermined level of your choosing, where you hold it where you don't, because you're going to sell into this move, right? If you had 20 million shares of this or whatever, you'd be selling some here, but then you'd put a bid here to hold it up and then let the retail come, let the shorts cover at the end of the month, right? And then when the shorts start covering, you put a bid right here. That's why you get this tail, and then you'll see that it won't violate that for the rest of the day. So you can use the profile that took us up as a reference. And you can see that just in the last couple hours of this day here on the 25th, right? There's the bid there, right there at 1770. So I'm sure, whoever's running this deal has a lot of size bid there. And now they're just letting the shorts try and get short again. It's got good excess on the top. But this is a P profile, so it's shaped like a letter P. That's short covering. And this is a B profile, shaped like the letter B, because that's long liquidating into size holding, like the wholesale or the people who run the deal. And then they'll take it back up and they'll sell what they bought here back to us up here. And that's just how markets are made, right? You can see that very clearly on a profile chart. And what was the other one here? SDC, right? And this is another breakout. You guys, I guess you guys would call this a breakout. So I would look at this today as sort of month-end short covering, right? And what you'd want to do is you'd want to see this area here. If we can break out, if we can break out and stay above this, then your target will be oh, hands aren't very steady. There we go. So your upper target, if we stay in this blue area, your upper target will be 891. It's a very weird way of looking at markets, I know, but it's quite simple and it works very well, especially on stocks that have decent institutional ownership. So I looked at this. This is an area of what we call balance, because when you break out of it and come back in, you should trade down to the bottom of it. Then you look underneath it, couldn't get acceptance here. We're going to go back up to the top of it. So this is my balance area. So when we break out of balance, we just double the balance area to find the upper target. So the first target, of course, will be this 835. So that's how we use profile to look at stocks, right? If you were looking at this on Friday and you saw these profiles with these lows right here, you would tend to think that the selling has shut off because you can't get right down to the bottom of that balance area. So that's telling you that there's no supply. So you don't want to be short down here. If anything, you'd want to be taking a long when the market opens. You go, supply is shut off. The market is opening above the close from Friday. That looks like a long. Oh, it's past the top of the balance area. It's still going. My target's 835, but I'd be willing to sell before. And that's how you'd look at that sort of move. Now, I don't know anything about this company. I don't know whether it'll hold that 780-ish, right? If it comes back in here, we're going to end up down here. But because it's month end, right, I'm sure it's a low volume day too, that they're just marking it up so it looks better at month end, right? A lot of these smaller companies are held. Oh, hey, Ray, this is your Smile Direct, eh?
Hey, yeah.
You're
Smile Direct Club, yeah.
What do they sell? Teeth? Something like that? I don't know. All right. Yeah, I'll buy some new teeth. Right. So when you, yeah, so you can see there's a balance area here. There's a balance area here. You can see that this stock is very tightly controlled, and they move it when they need to. Yeah. So this way you could see that. Oh, okay. Even on a day trade, if you see like this kind of pattern, on your day trade that your trade is to the upside, because this is what we call a look below balance, and we fail to get accepted down here, right? Because people don't want to sell, right? The people who own this thing, I'm not sure who they are, but it's probably a fund. Smile Direct, they're smiling, right? Yeah, so the good old folks at Clayton, Dubilier and Rice LLC, which sounds like a law firm. Is this thing in receivership? Oh, it's private equity. Oh, okay. Shows how much I know about private equity. So these guys have 27 million shares, and they're really not selling it. So the other ones will probably play in between. And because it's 80% held, there isn't really that much selling because it's held by people who don't have to sell them the stock to raise cash, right? So that this kind of trading that you see in the stock is just, you know, those sort of mid-level players, you know, who will move it up and down a little bit, who have smaller positions. You guys have any questions? It's awfully quiet this morning.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's month end. It's probably slow.
Mm-hmm. How about you take a look at this one, Jay, for me?
Sure.
GTX.
GTX. What is that font? Sounds so familiar. Maybe that was GSX. Garrett Motion.
Yeah, motor vehicle body manufacturing.
Oh, these are the guys who make turbochargers, right? Yeah. Garrett Turbochargers, of which I've owned.
Yeah, sells turbochargers, electric boosting technologies. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Ow, what happened here? Looks like one of my clients financed them. Oops. Wow, Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall. All right. Wow. Where's this thing going? There's only 60 million shares in the float. It's not a lot. It's 80% institutionally held. Finance or extort? What's the difference, Gecky? Listen, you're a Vancouver. Listen, you're from the East End of Vancouver. You know everything about extortion. They teach it at Tupper, right? uh, it's grade 9, extortion 101, right? Oh, this is one of those. Oh, it's a 9 ride down. Wow, that's nice. That's really nice. Well, I guess you know, you can build a good turbocharger, but obviously these guys can't run their company worth putty.
I mean,
So
right? If this thing's 80% institutionally owned, right? I mean, people got to be exiting, right?
oh yeah, someone's coming
I
out of a
mean,
position.
yeah, yeah.
So who's coming out of this thing? Wow. This Deccan Value Investors, it's I think one of those funds out of Boston. BlackRock. So you can see that there's one of these people is coming out of a position here. I wonder what the news is. I never read the news, but something bad must have happened, financials or something. But anyway, that's a really nice scan because just like riding that EMA up, you can ride it down, I guess. And what that coincides is, see this structure here? This is called one-time framing down, okay? And it's something, I know it sounds weird as hell, right? But I just want to make sure. I'll actually put one TPO here for every price increment, right? But it's, so the market opens, immediately just rips, right? So you can stay short this. Even in this period here, we don't stop one time framing down because C period would have had to take out B there. So when B period, after B period closes, you put a line there. And if C period doesn't take that line up out to the upside, you stay short, right? Sounds pretty ridiculously weird, but it's true, right? The same thing's going to happen here. Now, this thing should keep going. I don't know where the hell the floor is on this thing, but the price, the structure will tell you if F and G start clogging up here like this, then look for one of these to take out the top. So if F period comes out and takes out the top of E by 2 ticks or that level right there, that's when you want to consider taking back, like say you were short here and you didn't cover any here, you'd want to take off a little bit here. Yeah, it's very manageable float, right? So unless the company's going out of business, oh, here we go. The law offices of Frank R. Cruz announces investigation of GTX on behalf of investors. High leverage and potential liabilities to former parent Honeywell have forced the system supplier to look into restructuring its balance sheet. So, okay, so basically what has happened is they've mismanaged the money that they raised, and now everybody's trying to rip apart their flesh. And the lawyers, the flesh-eating lawyers are in there now. And so, yeah, but structurally, I guess that would be when you stop the EMA thing, right? Where's the EMA business here? Right, so this is what? Oh, I see. Oh, wow. What time frame do you guys use for this EMA thing? Because I always just use half an hour candles. Like each one of these.
5, generally 5.
Oh, 5. Cool. Oh, look at that. Wow, look at that. So I guess if this area here at 96, right? If it stopped one time framing and reversed here, it would break your EMA. So that's the structure of why the EMA doesn't get broken. Because what happens is when the stock sells down and then they just let it, the seller gives it a breather, right? So let me explain what's going on here. Somebody's selling a big position, right? So tap, 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 they're tapping it down. Then you get to a certain point where you break $3, you're like, ooh, I'll let it breathe. And then you let the shorts come back into cover. And when the shorts come back into cover, you nail them. You sell them stock right here. And that's what causes this second downward leg, right? And that would be this area right here. So you sell, 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 let the shorts cover, let it breathe. As they're covering, you're selling into the cover. And you see the volume right here, right? That's them coming out of a position right here, right at that where it touches your blue squiggly EMA, right? Which is right there. Structurally, that's where the other time frame is selling, right? You know how they say sell the rip? There's the rip, sell into it, right? And keep selling, right? Interesting. And so that's the mechanics of what's going on behind what you see here. That's pretty cool. This is just the reverse of that WDC on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Right, those are the kind of shorts you want. That's a nice short because it's not riggedy jiggedy, right? You have nice constant selling all through the day because you got somebody, because if you're short, you want supply, right? And the profile and this chart also is telling you that there's somebody putting supply into the market, right? And when it breaks those structural, right? When the order flow breaks structure, it means the tone in the market has changed and we got to pay attention. Hmm. Fascinating. That's really cool. That's really cool. I don't know why the hell you'd trade anything else except these EMA scans. Like, look at that price action. It's luxurious. Right? It's like driving a 78 Caddy, man. You're just floating. Right? Like, it's a smooth ride. You don't have to be worrying about some crazy fund manager manipulating the thing and banging it up and down. Right? That's really nice. Right? And it's $8.7 million worth of dollar volume. You could trade 5, 10 grand worth of paper in there, right? Without hurting anybody. They wouldn't even know that you're there. You know, you could slip in, slip out like a thief in the night. Beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the kind of trading you want, right? Trading shouldn't be like bungee jumping. You know, that's beautiful. We can really use that together. That's very cool.
Hey JJ, it's Steve. I just want to jump on for a second.
Sure.
Just to piggyback what you're saying, because I did get a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, I did get some direct messages from individuals that really can't day trade the 9 EMA because of their
Okay.
because of their account size and
Yeah.
because of PD
Yeah.
restrictions.
Yeah.
Plus, they're not interested in trading futures. So what I showed them over the weekend, and really this is more for those listening that need to swing trade, short-term swing traded. I have what's called Swing the 10 SMA, which is based on the same concept of the
Oh.
day trading 9 to EMA. Now that video for those listening are in the swing trading strategies room. And what it is pretty much this strategy using the 10 SMA on a daily chart for swing trading.
Nice.
Yeah, and the only reason why I bring that up, JJ, is because of something you mentioned. You said, why would you want to trade any other way that's not structured like this? And the answer, I don't know if you noticed, I posted it, but then deleted it, was I don't. This is,
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
have strategies, but it's
Yeah.
based on the 9 EMA. Why wouldn't I? So,
Well, yeah, because like Friday you had a beautiful long. Today you got a really nice short, right? And so, I know a lot of people love doing like 300 trades a day and drinking 50 Red Bulls, right? And that's cool, and I don't want to take away from that, but we're older guys. I like to make money without drama, right?
well, and then JJ, and I'll jump off after this. The point really was I wanted for those that need to swing trade,
Oh
just
yeah,
want you to understand that there are strategies out there, and we use the Trade Idea software to find us these setups, so we don't have to look over a thousand charts each night to try and find these setups because they are coded with institutionally held share filters, right? Float
yeah.
filters, to find the ones that will be more structural. And we did the same thing for swing trading. So if you haven't watched that video, if you're a swing trader or need to swing trade, it's in the strategies room.
Yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
that's a
All right.
really good
Sorry,
point.
guys. Sorry, Ray. Didn't mean to butt in.
No, that's cool. See, and the other thing too, if you are using stuff like, say this thing worked on this WCDC, say for example, if it worked on that 10 SMA, like I don't know if it does, but if you got to an area where you get a profile shaped like this, folks see this, where that's called a poor low, where you don't have this excess, you see? An excess is just like one single TPO going down. When you see that, that means that the sellers have shut off right there. Excuse me. Can you hear me now, Bree? Let me know. You hear a mumble, eh? One sec. Let me just try something here. You guys there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, sounds better.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, so when you see a profile shape like this for swinging, a swing trade, you can definitely tell that the supply is shut off, right? And your trade would be to the upside, especially when you see, right? Because there's a couple of things going on, right? The end of the month, right? People have to clean up their positions. So that's the agenda, right? The agenda is, right, to clean this up, right? They've faded it. They've cleaned the stock up. There's a floor here that seems to be around that $32 range. Then you see this a couple of days before the end of the month, and then a nice move back to the upside, right? But that profile shape is what we call a poor low, and that means that the supply has shut off. I don't know what's wrong with this headset. It's weird. EXPI, let me check that one out. Oh yeah, there it is again, right? There it is again, right there, right? And right here, do you guys see these profiles? Very cool. When you see these shapes and they look like the letter B, it means that the sellers from here are being absorbed down here. And because there is no excess on these profiles, they have what we call poor lows. So when you have a poor low, you don't want to short down there, right? So for example, if you were in a swing trade and you had entered at 36.40 and your stop was 36, the next day you see this one time framing up, right? And that means that it's initiative buying, right? Because what's happened is whoever owns this thing, right? And let me just look at the ownership here. EXP World Holdings. What do you think of that? Oh, Bellingham. Really? Bellingham, Washington? Hmm. Who knew? So it's owned by Vanguard, BlackRock, some company called Phoenician Capital that I've never heard of. So what happens is the large holders will add to their positions or support the stock. We had a move up that took us out of this balance area. And you can see that it never cracked that. So what they're going to do is they're going to sell here, sell here, sell here, buy it back here, right? When you buy it back here, the retail investor thinks, oh, that's support. And it is. It's support because they stopped selling. So then the next day you take it back up and retail chases price up. And then you just hang it up here and hold it right where you have the bottom of this excess, kind of in this area here. Let's see. Right? So this is where you're holding the bid, and now you're selling it at higher prices. And then if you have any kind of selling in a market at all, you'll see these B profiles where the institutions step in and just sit there all day and buy it on the bid, right? And it's a choppy market. That's to wash you guys out. And when you see that, so if you're swing long here, you take the move up and it, you could put, this is where you would have your trailing stop. So if you're long in this area, if this moves, if price breaks that, then you get stopped out. But then do I continue in the trade? Heck yeah. because the next day there's no excess at all. You got a poor low. You know, Friday, a little bit of short covering, zippity doo-dah, and now you move your stop up here for the swing, right? So there's your, your long, there's your confirmation to stay in the trade right here, right? And now I don't know what the upside target is. We could look at some levels, but that's how you use market profile. It's kind of cool, right? It's really freaky how accurate it is. Yeah, NVIDIA, I had that somewhere. Where is it? Ah, ooh, look at that. Wow. Okay. Alrighty. So NVIDIA, I got these areas from a balance zone. So this is my balance zone on NVIDIA. So when it broke above 421.5, I doubled it. For the next target was 444.66. And if it gets accepted above 444, this 448.66, I'm looking at 502, right? So all I'm doing is I'm taking a zone of balance, doubling it, and then doubling it again, right? Then we double this all the way up to the top. So we're looking at, wow, this is a beautiful month-end short squeeze, Airman. Wow, look at that. That's nice, right? Ooh, and they dipped it and ripped it. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so Friday we had this profile with single prints, which are Ray's favorite, right? And the single prints are basically telling us they are trapped shorts underneath this level right here. So definitely, yeah, definitely here. There's a massive bid here. So they opened the stock up this morning and they just let it fall, right? This is a beautiful thing, you guys. This is a great way. This is how you trap shorts, okay? Right? This works like a charm every time, right? You open a stock and then you just let it drift. But do you see how it does not get anywhere close to the bottom of this distribution? These are distributions, right? Like remember stats class, you had the old bell curve, you just flip it on its side. So this distribution, the bottom of it does not get violated. What price is that? 518.11? Okay, cool, right? So that's 518.11. There's no way we're even getting close to there. There's the point of control, which is where all the time was spent on Friday. And if you notice, today, we cannot break that point of control, right? So the selling shuts off right there, right? So when you see it drift, right, because it gaps and it drifts, once it gets to the point of control, there's a responsive buy. The second profile half-hour period confirms that they can't even take out that. If I put this on letters, you'll see what I mean, right? So could that be a bit more crooked? Oh, hello. So D period here, one time frames down. This is the overnight or the pre-market, sorry. So this is all that pre-market garbage that you guys see, right? So the market opens and the overnight, and it starts one time framing down, right? Because you gap, and what you use a gap for is you sell into the gap, right? If you have a position, right? So they had position here at the end of the day. They sell it into the gap, but here's where they support the bid. And this is how you trap shorts, because shorts are looking for this, but they don't know about this. When this can't hit the point of control, the next period confirms because it can't take D, which couldn't hit the point of control. Rippity doodah. Now you got single prints. The shorts are jammed. They're jammed hard. This is a beautiful, beautiful way of doing things, right? Now, I'm not saying this thing's being manipulated, right? But what happens is the psychology of the crowd is exactly the same whether the stock is manipulated or not, and it will leave behind these footprints. And like, take a look at this stock, right? You got Vanguard, Fidelity, BlackRock, State Street, T Rowe, Geode. None of these people are going to be selling stock today, right? Because they're holding this thing for 30 years, right? So there is no real supply in the market other than the supply from short-term traders, right? And then we had another balance area here that we're breaking out of, right? So our target to the upside on this thing is what, 557? Now, I don't know if it'll get there today, but the short squeeze should take us at least up to the middle of this range between 502 and 557. So sort of look at the middle between this and see if it can hold the middle. Next, and during this week, if it gets acceptance over the middle of this range, look for it to churn up and hit 557. Now, I have no idea what September holds, and God knows we're due for a pullback in these markets. But today is month end, and the agenda of the people that I used to work for, the other time frame, right, is to make the statements that you guys get at the end of the month look good, so you keep sending money in, because Wall Street is a place where money goes in and doesn't come out, right? And we will do anything to get you guys to keep sending us money to play with. I'd be a little nervous to initiate a position here in this thing because it's month end. I'd kind of let it. I'd like to see tomorrow if it comes back and it fills in any of these single prints, because this structure here, right? The reason why we have these single prints is we took out the pre-market high. And when we took out the pre-market high, they swept the order book. So if you have the volume profile here, you'll see that it's generally a little thinner in this area because they will have swept the book. There's not a lot of paper here. 51,000, 33,000, like all the sizes here, right? So they accumulated all the size, so you can see exactly where where your money's going. Here's the size, here's the time spent. They couldn't get down to the bottom there. 1,559 shares at the bottom in D period. There's no paper, right? So all of a sudden you get that massive rip. So going forward, what you want to do is you want to look and see whether these single prints hold. This is your frame of reference going forward. And now when G period adjusts inventory, what's going to happen is it's going to adjust inventory, right? Some of these people who bought this chasing up are trapped up here. So you want to see how much of this comes down in here, and you'll use these single prints as a gauge. Now, EXPI is really good too, right? This is really cool because it's I'm sure that your 10 SMA thing probably coincides with these structures, right? And this is really neat how you can use profile. You can use it in day trading, right? And you can use it in swing. How do you catch the low? It's very hard to catch the low on stocks, right? But on stocks that are very, very highly institutionally held, like an Nvidia, where the float is 600 million shares, but it's 70% held by institutions. And most of those people aren't going to sell because BlackRock doesn't really sell much, right? So it's you're going to use these single prints now as kind of like a gas gauge to see how much supply the sellers have. Because if these people aren't selling, if BlackRock's not selling, the only selling is going to come from trapped supply. So what you'll do is you'll look at this and you'll okay, how much of this volume is going to come out down here? Will it get back to the original? See, this is their original position that they bought and then they took the market up. Now, how much of that is going to come back here? Will they buy it, say, here? Right? If it does, maybe it'll come down to this area. So that's basically market profile on stocks. You can use it for a day trade. You could be buying 521, 522. Your stop is just underneath this point of control. And your target would be, here's another thing. Sorry, guys. Really, really cool. This is another thing, right? When this kind of price action happens, you know how people say, how did they know where my stops are because I was short? There's stops here, 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 and here. So when the price ran up, it ran all those stops. That's a stop run. That's a beautiful way to create the liquidity and the push to get up here. See, because the size players, what they're doing is they're buying it all here, they're selling it back up to us here, and they're using the shorts for this big push, right? They're like fuel for the fire, right? Dalton calls this a firecracker effect. When you take this stop, it triggers this stop and that one, and then that one, and then that one. And then you get that quick zip right up, right? So that's how you know where the stops are. And of course, if you guys have any questions, let me know. All of trading in the day time frame is the relationship between us and wholesale. And if you understand that relationship, it'll keep you from making bad trades. It'll keep you from trading at the wrong time of day. And it'll keep you from getting sucked in by price, right? Because following price is very, very dangerous. Following price is like following that beautiful woman into a dark alley and the next morning you wake up missing a kidney in a bathtub full of ice. That's why we don't follow price. We trade value. Much safer. Any questions? Did you guys need profile charts? Just let me know. Just DM me and I can walk you through this stuff. Just takes a little while for your mind to get used to looking at things this way. That's all it is. Well, GILD. Okay, cool. That's that Gilead or whatchamacallit, right? Did I have it on here? I had NVAX. Okay, let's go and do a Gilead here. Oh, sure. Okay, and I got another one, WIMI. 1 sec. It just takes a while for these charts to load. Take a quick look at the old ES. Choose an inside bar. Ah, okay. What do we have here? Okay. So here's the pre-market and Friday's overnight. Here's Friday, where we had a poor low, right? Once again, we have this situation where a few days before the end of the month, people get tired of holding it, right? The stop gaps down. I don't know why it gapped like this. Must be some reason, right? And a gap is just meaning that price is accepted at lower levels, right? It seems to be in a balance area here, sort of a month end. Let's clean it up, boys and girls, kind of a balance area. Take that and you double it. So I just changed the colors so you guys know which end is up. Now, I don't know anything about the company, so I'm going completely by the structure of the market. So here we go. C period. This basically means that we had a balance area. We looked below the balance area. Oops, sorry here. Let me just. So we have an area of balance. We looked below it, failed, looked below it again, but we can't really get acceptance down here. So we failed and went back up into it. So as soon as we cross this area, our target is here. Now, at the end of the day, if you're looking at this longer term, is you want to see if we can get accepted above 66.30 to make it up into this area. And if we get accepted above 66.30 at the end of during this week, you'll be looking at, this will be your first target. And then this will be your second, right? But because the way this looks is, it looks like they're just cleaning it up at the end of the month, and this is just some short covering at month end. But I'd have to, you'd have to watch it for a bit. And what was WMI? Hang on. Just letting this thing load. Did I get the symbol right? Oh, I missed an I. Sorry. WIMI. Wimmy. This one's for Nicole. Whoa. Well. What is this thing? This, on the other hand, just looks like month-end selling. Nobody really wants to hold it. You would look, I don't know what this has. Looks like they did a cheap financing, blew it up, made some nice money, pounded it down, and they're back above where they started. WIMI Hologram Cloud Inc. American Depository Receipt. Oh, God. I love that. Which means, what do you sell? We sell stock. 12 million in the float. Not very much institutional ownership. None at all, really. Renaissance has a little bit of it. So I would just look at this area as a balance area. You know, it's going to take a while for this stock. How these things work is the company gets financed. So if this area is like $2, this company probably needed some money and they got financed, and they probably got financed at $1. Then some sort of news event happened and they ran the heck out of the stock. They would have sold an insane amount here all the way down, and they're just holding it up here above that $6, $5 range, so it's still marginable, right? And it's an American depository receipt. So if you're trading ADRs, you want to go to the Bonnie ADR directory, right? And find out what you're trading, right? So you go here and then, you type in, what is this thing? WIMI, and it'll tell you where is it here? Why didn't I get a quote there? That's weird. It's not coming up. That's odd, very odd. It is an ADR. It's Chinese ADR. Interesting. Yes, I don't know what your goal is on that, but right now it's probably not going to do anything. It's going to take a long time to clean up all of the stock that they sold here. What else do we have? Apple, right now, it's post-split. It's just, what they did is they've got an accumulation profile in the pre-market, and it's just working off that right now. So it's just, 129, 20, whatever it is, times. And if you just look at it on Thinkorswim, you get the post-split price. So it's trading 517, right? Same with Tesla. I can't even get a chart for Tesla this morning, right? On my TPO charts. Very weird. All right, so this is Tesla this morning. And as you can see, it's not giving me anything. It's just giving me the price moving up and down. Where is it here? 400 and something. But I'm not getting a profile, so I'll have to contact customer service. Okay, and Nike, hang on a sec here. NKE. mRNA. How's your pen doing? Oh, pen's coming out. A little bit of month-end selling. Somebody's coming out of a position on that. American Airlines. That's good. That's good. Boeing. Not much there. Okay, Nike. What do we got here? Nike. So I'm just going to go to blocks for a second so I can see my value areas. Yeah, I'd start with that. So I'm looking at that as an initial balance area on Nike. And how did I get that? I looked at this and I looked at that and I looked at this. So this is a look below. You come into balance, you get to the top of it, can't break out, you come down, you got to tag the bottom. Look underneath, you come back up. Again with the look underneath, come back up, look underneath, come back up, tag it. So I'm pretty confident that that zone should work. So I'll take that now and I'll double it to see where we are in the zoo. So now the company has broken above, right? The target was here. Once we got accepted over $100, the target was 108. So now what do we have in store for this thing next, right? Well, you just basically take these things and then just keep adding them. So you have 2, now you have 4. It's a bit rough, my hands. Getting dodgy here. So now, not saying it's going to get up to $125, but you see how it's having trouble breaking this one. What area is this? 118 or 116-ish area, or 112? No, that's 112. Okay. So this 112 area is a little bit of resistance. So you'll see it come back down and test 108. If it can't get to the bottom of this, if it comes and auctions down to 110, it should find some support here and then break through this and go back up. So if it gets accepted over 112, your target's 116. If it gets accepted over 116, your target's 120. And that's how these things work in balance. And how do you know? Well, you look at this light blue stuff, that's called value. And that's just price over the time. And the longer price stays at a certain price, it means people are willing to pay that. And if it drops down, people think it's a bargain and they jump in and buy it. And what was the other one? FLDM. Okay, I guess we've looked at this one before. No problem. It just takes a little while for your eye to be able to pick it up. At first, it's really weird, but once you do that, it makes life a lot easier. Because you're not going to short something if you see price being accepted, right? When you see price being accepted, why fight that? Go with. So here we had an initial balance. We broke out over it, looked above, failed, and came back in. So when this failed up here at 1120, you know your short target's 840 on, like if you're doing a swing, right? Your first target would be 970, and then as soon as it breaks 970 and gets acceptance, you stay short. Then you see this little B profile here, you know that the selling's starting to shut off just in this area here. And sure, docu. What is this thing? DocuSign. Yeah, I'd say that's probably a decent balance range. Now, before you go and trade off any of this stuff, you do this for yourself and you go, okay, you sit and you watch those levels and you watch how price reacts when you get to those levels. Then you can trade on it, right? You always want to test everything just in case. What if I made a mistake somewhere? What if I didn't see things properly? Let me test it. How does it stop? Does it reverse? What's it doing when it gets there? That's going to tell us all about the order flow and whether my levels are any good. If they're no good, you just go redraw them. It's just like the scientific method. You just keep trying things until they work, right? But see, you can see that, we looked above this 220-ish area, right? After a nice run, right? So we looked above this initial balance, came down, couldn't break it, looked below, failed. There's your first target. Oh, now we're getting acceptance above into this zone. So if we're long here, our end target is up here at 240. But first it's got to get past this 220 area. So here's a nice trade. So this is a look above and fail to get up into this area. So back down. Now, when we get here, if we break this, we're going to go to the bottom. Failure to get to the bottom means, oh, let's get long again, right? And how many institutions own it? Well, you just go to handy dandy Yahoo Finance, right? And you click stats. It'll tell you the structure of the company. It'll tell you how much of it is institutionally held, what the short position is, how much is in the float. Always remember, guys, that this shares outstanding and this float, this is the structure of the company. This is going to determine, along with the percentage of institutions and who they are, that's going to tell you how the stock's going to trade, right? So you got all of these money managers, BlackRock, Vanguard, T. Rowe, none of these people are going to sell stock, right? They just add when the thing dips. Some of these people, I don't know who Whale Rock Management is, some fund, obviously, right? But most of these players are longer time frame. That's why we talk about the other time frame in profile. The other time frame are the guys who hold it for 30 years, right? And if it drops, they got $7 trillion, they'll just add to their positions because they can, right? That's why you get that's why you get beautiful support at certain profile levels. My pleasure. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. If anybody needs any help, just reach out. And yes, I'm going back into the dungeon of the micro room. Thanks, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Be safe out there. Thanks, Ray.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. What's for lunch, Ray?
Oh, so it's just standard chicken and rice.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Some standard. God was trying to catch up to me, but
Yeah, you know what? He's going to have to eat something a little bit heavier than sushi to do that. That was like when I was at Vancouver, I coached football. Gecky will love this. I coached football for up in West Van. And my heaviest offensive lineman was 180 pounds because they all ate sushi. I'm like, this is not going. Nice kids, though. Nice kids for kids who drove Ferraris. Anyway, have a great afternoon. I'll see you guys.
All right, guys.
Bye for now.
Peace.
Okay, everyone, it's Steve. That was an excellent training session, I thought at least. And I am right now going to pipe into direct feed in into